Generating traffic and sales can be a challenge for online merchants. But selling on the Walmart Marketplace puts your products in front of millions of customers who shop on Walmart.com. And right now, sellers who join Walmart Marketplace can save up to 50% on referral and fulfillment fees for the first 90 days. So get started today. Head over to marketplace.walmart.com/savings. That's marketplace.walmart.com/savings.
Today's podcast is sponsored by SLI Systems, providers of intelligent site search and navigation solutions. Learn more at sli-systems.com and listen to their interviews at ecommercepodcast.com.
Your path to e-commerce success starts right here. You're listening to Practical E-commerce, the podcast for e-commerce results.
Welcome back to another Practical E-commerce podcast. My name is Brian Getting, and this is a supplemental podcast to our November 2006 issue. Today we have Barney Stone speaking with Mitch Bettis, Barney is the president of Stone Edge Technologies, and they make a product called Stone Edge Order Manager, which is a application that manages various orders from different sales channels, including online sales, let's say point of sales transactions, things of that nature, and really has some benefits as far as letting people keep better track of their stuff and not have their back end of their online store get too crazy. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Barney Stone, CEO of Stone Edge Technologies, and Mitch Bettis.
Well, let's begin by explaining to those who may not know much about an order management software. What does an order management software do? What kind of tasks does it perform?
Well, the idea really is to help you with all of your day-to-day operations. It typically starts with importing orders from your shopping cart or whatever other sales channels you have, building a customer list that you can use for marketing and so on, updating your inventory so that it's checking for out-of-stock items and subtracting what's been sold from your quantity on hand, sending out email confirmations to customers, sending dropship orders to vendors and orders to fulfillment centers if you don't do your own fulfillment. Credit card processing may be part of it, reviewing orders, looking for fraud issues, or cases where some change needs to be made in an order, or where you have to contact the customer for additional information or to cross-sell them to a different item or something like that. Dealing with packing and shipping, customer service after the sale. That's sort of the broad strokes of it.
Well,
everything from getting the order to filling the order and then supporting after the order.
And is this all what I would call a back-end system that ties into my existing website, or is it part of an overall shopping cart that I might purchase?
That would vary from one case to another. In our case, we feel that we're experts in order management, not in writing shopping carts. So we took the path of integrating with as many shopping carts and what we call sales channels as we can. We do not produce our own cart, but we integrate with about 20 different shopping carts, many of them some of the leaders in the industry. Monster Commerce, Yahoo Store, ShopSite, Viva Merchant, OS Commerce, Able Commerce, and a number of others. And then also sales channels like Amazon, eBay, Shop.com, Overstock, and so forth.
With something that's as robust as you explain, it kind of sounds like it's designed to help make my life a lot easier by integrating all those functions. What kind of price ranges would one look at in terms of the various types of software out there? I assume there's a low end, I assume there's a high end, there's probably a broad middle. Can you give us kind of a range of these type of software?
There are some fairly simple programs out there that primarily deal with importing orders and printing shipping labels and generally don't have the inventory tracking, the kind of full features that we've got, that you can get for under $1,000. Then there are several in the $1,000 range, $1,000 to $1,500, something like that, which would include the Stone Edge Order Manager, our product. And then you skip to a much higher price range, where you're typically spending $10,000 to $20,000 or more. There are some that sort of start at the $4,000 or $5,000 or $6,000, but then you have to add on and add on and add on, and you usually get up in the 10 or 15 or whatever range. Then there are others that charge, at least part of their charges are by transaction. So you're paying some fee for each order that goes through, or each credit card that you process, or whatever. So there are different pricing models. We feel, in our case, that although our product sells for a little over $1,000, it's really a $10,000 product. It compares feature for feature very favorably with products in that price range. But our target market from the very beginning, which is over 6 years ago now, has been the very small to medium-sized merchants who either can't or won't spend that kind of money or shouldn't spend that kind of money on software.
If I have an online store and I sell at an auction site like eBay, I might have a brick-and-mortar store, perhaps a couple, might have a catalog that I'm wanting to implement. I may also push data to various shopping sites online. Can an order management software help me in that kind of circumstance, manage inventory with multiple sales channels?
Well, again, I can really only speak to our system because I don't know all the capabilities of the others that are out there. But in our case, yes, definitely. The Order Manager includes a point-of-sale system that can be used to handle your walk-in traffic if you have a brick-and-mortar store. It lets you enter what we call manual orders. Those are the ones that come in by phone, fax, email, whatever, that need to be typed directly into the program. And then you can import from multiple sales channels into one copy of the Order Manager, or actually one Order Manager data file. So let's set up an example here. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that you sell baby clothes, and you sell those clothes through maybe Yahoo Store and Shop.com and Amazon, and you would then set up one Order Manager, what we call store, and import from all of those channels into the one store. They're all going to pull from the same inventory. If you use our order status system, they're all going to work through that. That's a system that lets your customers go on your website and get up-to-the-minute information about the status of their order and the different line items on it. We can also retain the branding of your different channels. Some merchants will use the same company information on multiple channels. Other merchants will use different company names, probably tied into the domain names of the different sites and so on. The Order Manager will keep track of the source of each order and let you use automatically use different company information in your emails to your customers and on your invoices and packing slips, depending on the source of each order. Even a manual order can be assigned to one of those channels. So, if somebody calls you up and says, I was in the middle of placing an order here and I ran into a problem, I want to place it over the phone, and you know which site they came from, you can assign that manual order to that particular channel. Now, let's say you also sell automobile tires, something totally unrelated to the other business. In that case, you would probably set up a separate data file in the Order Manager and import those orders into this separate data file because there's really no connection with those two businesses. So there's a lot of flexibility in how you set it up depending on your particular business model.
Well, you'd mentioned earlier there's kind of that traditional panoply of options, a low-end, very basic option, perhaps something in the middle there that's more robust, and something on the very high end for a very large business. If I'm trying to make a decision on what type of software I need to reduce this amount of paper and to help me run a more, that's sitting on my desk from all these orders and trying to run a more efficient organization, are there any tips that you could provide to help me make a decision on what solution might be best for my business in the present and as I'm looking to the future? Any benchmarks, any way to say I'm doing a certain volume, therefore I need a product that has this level of of features? Any kind of guidelines?
At the low end, we find that people tend to come to us when they're at 10 or 15 orders a day. We find there's a pain threshold there where the merchant finds that they're spending too much of their time packing orders and shuffling papers and retyping names and addresses into QuickBooks or UPS WorldShip or something like that. And they need some automation. At that point, you need to find something that's going to be economical for you. I mean, that's really a trick all the way along. I spoke to somebody yesterday who had purchased, I don't know if I should give the name of it, but it's a high-end system that they'd spent about $15,000 on, integrated accounting and order management and so forth. And the company sent somebody on site for a couple of weeks to try to get it working, and they ran into all kinds of problems and so on. And one of the things he told me is that he feels that if you have software where they have to send somebody on site for a week or two to get it working for you, there are problems. And I think that's a case where he was buying enterprise-level software where what he really needed was small business software. And there's a difference there, and then there's a difference in the design of the software, the pricing of it, the way everything works, how much staff or highly trained staff you need to run it, and so on. There's a balancing act. You don't want to buy too much because, especially when you're in the early on in your business, you can spend $20 or $30 or $50,000 on software that might be great for you 5 years later. But in the meantime, you really need that $20 or $50,000 or whatever it is to get you there. If you never get there, it doesn't do you any good. So you don't want to overspend. At the same time, you don't want to underspend. There are people trying to run their business off of Excel and QuickBooks. Those programs really weren't designed or intended to run an operation like a typical web merchant needs. So you need to look at the functionality you need. How many orders a day you're going to be importing. If it's 10,000 orders a day, you need some serious software. If it's 100 or 500 or even a couple thousand, you can probably run with some lower level software. What kind of shipping do you want to do? Do you need to do inventory tracking? Do you need a point-of-sale integration? There are very, very few point-of-sale systems that integrate with shopping carts and can share inventory and so forth. So that if you need point-of-sale and you need integrated inventory, that's going to severely limit your options.
Given the type of task that you had mentioned, this type of software can provide, one of the obvious benefits is that while it makes my operation more efficient, it should also eliminate some need for additional help.
Oh, absolutely.
And so how do I measure my return on investment? If I'm going to spend $1,500, $2,000 on order management software, how can you coach someone to say, this is how you're going to get your money back?
We have had a number of people tell us that they saved 2 or 3 full-time clerks once they started using the order manager. If you do the math on that, if you could get that kind of return on investment, you wouldn't bother being a merchant. You'd probably own a small island in the Mediterranean. If you buy $1,500 worth of software and it saves you even a minimum wage type person, you're talking 1,000% return on your investment. It doesn't take saving more than an hour a week, really, or something like that to justify $1,500 investment. Take a look at the smallest companies where it's a one-person operation or maybe even one person part-time or a couple people part-time. If you save a couple hours a week and you can use those couple of hours to improve your product line, improve your search engine placement, make your website look a little more efficient, do some better customer service, do some public relations, that kind of thing, that can turn into more sales, the return is the payoff is within 60 days or something like that, and that's extremely rare to have an investment that'll pay off that quickly. Now, of course, if you go and spend $20,000 or $50,000 on software that's way beyond what you really need, getting that return is going to take a lot longer.
And that's going to wrap it up for this podcast. Once again, I'd like to thank Mitch Bettis and also Barney Stone of Stone Edge Technologies. You can find them at www.stoneedge.com for taking the time to speak with us, and hopefully this podcast will help people understand what order management software does, and also inspire them to look a little deeper into how they can better automate and organize their online stores.